O homem esqueceu que é semente. Nasceu da terra e virou gente. E nessa relação com o ambiente, precisamos respeitar, conservar e amar.
A ucuba é uma árvore nativa da região amazônica. Ela é uma árvore que cresce 30 a 35 metros. A gente chama de a pérola da Amazônia, porque a semente dela ela vem numa cápsula e é muito linda. Desde a década de 70, houve uma intensa exploração por conta da madeira. É uma madeira leve que é muito utilizada para a fabricação de laminado, de compensado, palito de fósforo, palito de dentes. Então a indústria ela utilizava muito de forma irracional. Essa grande exploração levou a ucuúba para a lista de espécie ameaçada de extinção.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Body Shop in St. James Quarter, Edinburgh. As the world enters the second week of COP26, the most consequential climate conference of our time, Nature & Co is honored to bring together a very special panel of experts to share their insights on why the Amazon is essential to us all and what we must do to protect it. The world's largest source of biodiversity, the Amazon spans 9 countries and is home to 1 in 10 of all known species on Earth. The Amazon and tropical forests like it are highly effective at absorbing the carbon that fuels global warming. In doing so, they can mitigate the climate crisis we face. But recent research has shown that deforestation and other human-related activities are causing parts of the Amazon to emit more carbon than they can capture. If this continues, the damage done will affect the whole planet, not only those living in the Amazon. The world will not fulfill the ambitions of the Paris Agreement to limit the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. At the beginning of COP26 last week, we heard news of a new global agreement to halt deforestation by 2030, which is a great step in the right direction. But as with all commitments, it is actions and policies that will make the difference. Today, we'll explore how climate change and nature loss are interconnected and should be addressed together, and the implications for world leaders, businesses, communities, and individuals alike. So without further ado, let's meet our panelists. We're joined today by Izabella Teixeira, who was formerly Brazil's Environment Minister between 2010 and 2016. She represented her country, Brazil, at the UN Climate Conference in Cancun and the UN Biodiversity Conference in Nagoya. She is co-chair of the United Nations Environment Programme's International Resource Panel and a holder of UNEP's Champions, one of the Earth Award for Policy Leadership. Welcome, Izabella. We are so honored to have you join us here
Thank
today.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Tasso Azevedo is a leading Brazilian environmentalist and social entrepreneur. His research covers land use, forests, and climate change. He is the founder of Map Biomas, a multidisciplinary platform to generate annual land use cover maps for the Amazon and other tropical environments. Thank you, Tasso, for joining us. It's really good to have you here.
Pleasure to me.
Beto Verissimo is a senior researcher and co-founder of the Amazon Institute of People and Environment, Amazon, an Amazon-based NGO. He holds a master's degree in ecology from Pennsylvania State University and a graduate degree in agriculture engineering from the Federal Rural University of the Brazilian Amazon. He is also an Ashoka Fellow. Thank you so much for being with us today, Beto. So let's start.
A pleasure.
Let's start with Izabella. Let me start with you. So in your period in office as a minister, you actually delivered exceptional results in halting deforestation. It felt dramatically. During this time, actually it dropped by 75% the rate of deforestation, a monumental achievement. Now, we know that the situation has changed significantly. That's been reversed, and both species and diversity and the forest itself are under threat, as never before, actually. Can you tell us what it took to implement these successful policies, and could we as Brazil hope to do that again?
I hope, to hope. Brazil must be back. Thank you very much, Andrea, and also the opportunity to be here together with good friends, Tasso and Beto, and also you. I think that politically it's very important to observe or to learn 2 or 3 things or 4 things. The first one is that when you play politically, you must believe in what you're doing. And this is very important because sometimes you have setbacks, okay? And we are tackling, when going against deforestation, indeed we are tackling environmental crime and organized crime in Amazon region. And this is very difficult, okay, a hard task. And you need other policies to come together with environmental policies or social environmental policies to address concrete solutions and to go beyond the short-term perspectives that used to model the governments. So the first point is exactly this. We need to have this in your heart and believe that we're in the right direction, but also you need partners. And more than this, be closer of your partners. And of course, understand that the process is not a linear process, okay? And you need a robust planning and understand the past. It's very important. In the case of deforestation in Amazonia, this period, you have the experience in the past from Pepe Sedan, that we have the former Minister Marina Silva and her staff, that proposed this in the first phase. We renewed twice, okay? And part of her staff worked together with us. Why? Because we manage institutions, we manage institutions' capacities, we manage people. And it's very important because you must learn with this legacy, okay, including the mistakes. It's very, very important. The third one, in my opinion, is that people matter, okay, and civil society matters. And for this, we need to build innovative governance arrangements or political rooms to bring people society in their roles. For example, monitoring, being independent, be critical. It's very important, transparent. But also come together with the scientific institutions. It's impossible to bring society together to say that we're in the right direction, that we must be together if you cannot have credibility and trust based on knowledge. So scientific institutions were really important partners in this equation, or the solutions of this equation. And finally, I think that we need to, if you want to have a better future, we need to bring the future to the present. It's not something untouchable. We need to have the capacity to discuss with people why you need to leave the deforestation in the past. It's so unequal, it's so unfair. So it's not Brazil, the Brazil that we want. And how we can mobilize people to fight for their rights and for a better future. Because it's a dispute. We cannot forget that to have these public policies, have different political constituencies that we use to come against, to have trade-offs. Brazil is a huge country, and Amazon is part of these trade-offs that we have in our country. But I think that leave deforestation in the past means that we need to understand how to mobilize people for a better future, how to be fair, to recognize their rights and their political will to deal with this. So we need to understand what people that live in Amazon want, okay, and how you connect Amazon to Brazil and to the world. And finally, if allow me, I think that it's very important to know how you connect different issues. It's not only a legal imperative because it's environmental crime and to tackle organized crime. It's a moral imperative. We're discussing values. So the role of the new generations that are coming, okay, how indeed do you share the good outcomes and the bad outcomes and bring these people together with us to say, we don't need this in the future. So I think that it's really a political arrangement, okay, that allows people to join you, and also with contradictions. We need to recognize this. It's not a consensus, the first step, it's a convergence process. And after this, bring the institutional capacities, the environmental institutions, renew its capacities, and make sure that it's a hard task. It's step by step, it's a process. But we need to not only tackle, we need to leave this in the past if we want a better future for Brazil and for the world.
And we do. That's perfect, and it's a perfect sequence to asking Tasso the question, because if we want to engage civil society, if we want to engage partners and society at large, information, data is critical. And we've partnered on Plena Mata, which is a monitor tool, a portal free of access with reliable data for people to look at and see what's happening in the Amazon. Can you tell us a bit more about that, Tasso, and your views?
Yes. So the idea is like we have this common goal between the different organizations. Natura is pushing that, also Mapiomas, Info Amazonia, and Hack Lab, the 4 organizations that are coming together, which is end up this deforestation, not in 2030, but in 2025. Right, that's what we want in the whole region. And so the idea of Plena Mata is to put together very, robust data about what's going on in the Amazon in a way that is easy to understand and to capture the dynamics. So, for example, there is this kind of a tree fallow down, chronography. So where you can see, every second how many trees are falling down. And so we are about to get to close to 500 million trees that was cutting down just this year in the Amazon. And so more or less, like I would say like that our goal is to stop this clock and reverse it and say how many trees actually are growing up in the Amazon instead of losing this. So the way to do this is to join and bring business, NGOs, academy with the scientists, and also the forest communities to first understand what's going on with the good science, so all information that we can get from there. Also to understand what is actually happening. So we are bringing this something new, which is to every day we are collecting information that goes out on the press, on the different scientific articles that are published, and translate this into very short, quick piece of articles that are georeferenced. So it means like you have the articles connected to the different places in the Amazon to understand it, which I think it's very interesting as a dynamic. And also highlight what are the good initiatives that are happening in the region, both for combating the deforestation, but also to promote a sustainable alternative for the region, which I think is the key issue that we have right now. Deforestation is a phenomenon that is mostly illegal. So we're talking about like 98% of the deforestation has elements of illegality. It's also strange that there are deforestation that is legal, but it does exist. It's possible to have like legal deforestation, but most of that is illegal. So we have a lot of work to do to stop what is illegal. But we also have to work on the other side, which is how to actually manage the forest on a way that it's sustainable. And I think this is a key element, which is the question is not how to separate the human beings from the forest. Say like just keep that protected for the wildlife and so on. I think the key that we have for this whole thing about the concept of sustainability is to find ways in which we can get closer to the forest. And by getting closer to the forest, then we feel the importance of being connected on a sustainable way. And so somehow that's what we want to achieve with Plena Mata, is to get people closer to the problem, like embrace the problem to actually help to solve that.
No, absolutely. And we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it. So Beto, now over to you. So we've heard from Izabella, directionally what it takes for the country to create policies that are effective, but also engaging society and partners in that process. Tasso just talked about Plena Mata and the way that it was designed to really connect and bring people closer to the Amazon. You've been a champion of sustainable plans to develop it through responsible management of 5 million hectares of rainforest. Can you give our audience a quick overview of what would an agreement on nature look like? What are your views on that?
Well, thanks. I think we have Brazil has demonstrated in the past the capacity to protect it and to enforce. And I think you have been champion if the political conditions coming back, the right political conditions, we be able to do so again. The question is how actually to develop the region. So we don't have yet a kind of blueprint ideas on the table to really create an economy based on forest. I think that was something that we need to do, and we actually doing right now. I'm coordinating an initiative that's trying to come up with, let's say, solutions on this side. I think about the spectrum of economic activity that should happen in a forest ecosystems, starting, of course, with the environmental service the forest provides. And they are not paid yet. People are talking about the pay for carbon sequestration. What's in the table right now? It's just a coin. What should be done? The other service that forests provide, especially on the biodiversity field. And second, we get other products the forest provides, goods, timber. It's possible to harvest timber in a sustainable way. There are so many good initiatives, but they need a policy to support it. But right now, the policy is against forest management because it allows illegal loggers to take the field and compete with those people that operates legally and more sustainable. There's a lot of other products that come from the forest, and the people know more now. Products related to the forest, the fishing, agroforestry products. We just launched 2 months ago also a report that showed the market for 65 products that actually the Amazon region already produces is roughly around $200 billion in the global market. It's 10 times, 1,000 times higher than actually the market for carbon right now. So there's a lot of opportunity, and just to go a little bit more, the whole question of restoration, carbon sequestration. There is the best systems in place in the last billion years is photosynthesis, and the trees are the best way to capture carbon in the atmosphere. The Amazon region is a perfect place to grow trees back, and of course we still have a plenty of space for agriculture if done in a sustainable way, or mining, industrial mining can be part of the solution. I think there was a lot of opportunity to find a common ground on the development agenda.
Perfect. Well, you just shared with us many solutions for sustainably developing and managing the forest in ways that balance the demands and expectations of several stakeholders. Anything additional there in terms of the agreements that should be made with other stakeholders, with governments, with businesses, with the people that are actually living in the Amazon?
For anything to happen, we need to stop the illegality. The illegality is the cancer that affects everything. It's an inhibit investment and create a political chaos here, as in the violence and illegal deforestation and forest fires and all these problems. I think that the subnational government has been playing a role, but it's actually just to look at the Brazilian political framework. It needs the government, the federal government, have to show up. Most of the lands that actually in the Amazon belongs to the government, for the public lands, and mostly in the federal government. So I think agreements that Brazil needs to be, and they have to control deforestation more as soon as possible. People think about coming with agreement for 2030. I think it's too late. We need to let's say, reduce dramatically deforestation in the next 2-3 years. If Brazil decide to do, I'm talking about Brazil now, I'm talking about federal government, because they have the power to change the game. And of course, the other players is around, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for a jurisdictional kind of initiative that the states might play a role. But make no mistake, I think without federal government and really be proactive and forced to do, it will be very hard to change the game.
Absolutely agree with you. And so I'm going to now go from what Brazil would need to do to actually how consumption patterns might address that as well, because estimates of our total impact on nature suggest that we would require 1.7 Earths to maintain the world's current living standards. When it comes to the Amazon, we all depend on it no matter where we are in the world. The threats to the Amazon and to the natural world force us to recognize that we must change our relationship with nature, seek sustainable approaches to our lives and livelihoods to protect Earth's biodiversity resources and our children's future. To address this, many experts agree that we must build an agreement on nature that's similar in scope and scale to the Paris Agreement. Well, you've just shared with us what, this more comprehensive deal could look like, but I'd like to ask the panel, okay, if each of you can share your perspective on what it's going to take for us to get to an agreement, a broad scope agreement, and what could be roadblocks to get there as we are closing this panel. So, Izabella, please, starting with you.
Oh, well, okay, we need another show, but let's see. I think that it's very important to observe that this crisis nature, it's not only related to climate, and it's also biodiversity. You have a triple global environmental crisis, okay? You have climate, you have nature, disruptive process of biodiversity loss, and also pollution and ecosystem fragmentations and degradation. So we need to manage this triple crisis together. This means that probably we'll need a new expression of humanism in this century, because things changing, and also to understand better how solidarity would play or should play internationally, because it's not only to be global, it's to become planetary. This is the first lessons that we need to understand, because we are connected and interconnected, not only because of business, marketers, and the digital world, but because of nature. And this is, in my opinion, absolutely critical when you go into the global politics and geopolitics, how indeed we should address the limits of natural resource in the world and the population growth. So we need to review everything, as not only as consumers and value chains, everything that we have been discussing, but we need to review our behavior and our understand how we share values is based on co-responsibilities, but also in an ambition, a new vision about the future, but ambition to change. And when you go into biodiversity, that's the big problems that we have around the world, because nature never forgives, this. It's important, in my opinion, to understand not only the role of natural resources, that is very important because it's touchable. Economic players should come into the world concretely without postponing things. But to know more about our true impact on nature, 4 points are really important. Know about our true impact, plan together what it means, bring stakeholders, understand your ambition like a company, how you want to be in the future. We need to have your players, your stakeholders, your consumers to understand your ambition to put this in practice. Also, grow with nature. We need to learn, as Beto mentioned, and also Tasso, to learn how to grow with nature as a partner. No, not necessarily with something that you go there give me what you have and I forget it. No, I'm sorry. We need to grow with nature. And finally, you need to value nature. Not only, in my opinion, consider the economic values. This is easier today to discuss. It's not easy to have an understanding, but to discuss. But to understand in this new way to live in this century, what is the real challenge, how you value nature? Okay, the indigenous people, they are so fascinating when they bring this to us, okay? And I think that we need to change, to learn with this experience or these perspectives, innovative perspectives, but know more how humanity wants to play this century, a new way to be happy, to join with nature, to be together, and to promote, to address inequalities in the world. It's impressive. You cannot go again, moving on, considering not only social inequalities, but also environmental inequalities. It doesn't make sense. So we need to change now. And like I used to say, I think that Brazil must, as Beto was mentioning, that Brazil must understand the value of stand-up forests is also, for me, the value to have Brazil stand up also.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely, absolutely. Tasso, as we're coming to a close here, please, your perspective to build on this very inspirational discourse by Izabella.
Yeah, I think thinking more like on practical terms for like anyone as a consumer or as a business or anyone that have taking decisions that on the day by day, I would say normally it's easier to think about this like let's boycott whatever is bad or a region that is bad. So like if there is a problem in the Amazon, there is too much deforestation, 90% of illegality. Guess what? I will not buy anything from there because I don't want to run on a risk of having the deforestation in my supply chain. I think this is actually very counterproductive because you are actually putting on the same basket the people that wants to do the things good and the ones that are doing bad. And the people that are doing bad things, they don't care about that, right? So I think it's the way to work with this is like do two practical things. One is to guarantee traceability of whatever you are using, or you're buying. So you're looking for something, some product, some ingredient for anything, just be sure that there's a traceability that can guarantee that this don't come from something that is, let's say, converting or degrading an environment. I'm not just talking about the Amazon in general, right? So if you do this first part, which is like you're guaranteeing that, for example, you use FSC as for any forest products, you can get an FSC logo and you know that this is not coming from conversion and doing sustainable management. There are several ones also for agriculture that can be used in other areas. But that's just step one. I think the step two is almost the opposite. They say like, let them find something that is actually coming from the nature, that it's managed correctly. So then I will be supporting the activities that are actually working together with the nature. So I would say, do not avoid the Amazon or any other, nature environments and etc. Just try to be sure that it's something that is not destroying, but try to support and join and think about those products. There is tons of amazing products that we have available, and by supporting who is actually producing this sustainably, you are helping to create this vision that Beto was talking about, which is like tons of products that could be the development of those regions, particularly the Amazon.
Oh, fantastic. And Beto, to close off, because we're really short on time, please, your last words?
I think Tasso raised a very key element because there's 28 million people living in the Brazilian Amazon side, and include the entire Amazon, it's about 40 million people, including other countries. People need development. They are living in cities. They need to improve their livelihoods. If the region become boycott, then something is going to happen. Illegality is going to spread even more. Organized crime is going to take place. So we need investments. We need to develop the region. There is a very possible way to do so. And I think the traceability element that Tasso brings is a way to separate what's good and what was not good. Not go beyond certification, because the traceability actually allows to do in a fashion, in an almost timely way, using the tools we have available. I think the second, we need to speed up any kind of solutions that actually it linkage with payment for environmental service or let's say forest restoration. We need to scale up those initiatives, and we need to do in a way that make people that lives in the region think that this is something ambition, real, and deliverable. And the time is running out against us. So we don't have any more time. We don't have a couple of years ahead. We have just few years ahead. Tipping point is approaching. There is a irreversible possibility that the region become a more type of savanna vegetation. It's really probably is going to affect. If we go in this direction, there is no way to have a Paris Agreement. We don't have to be able to achieve the Paris Agreement. So we need forests, and we need forests for several reasons. And Izabella pointed out very well the biodiversity and the carbon and the environmental service associated, but because it's a moral imperative as well. We have to do, and we able to do that. We have solutions ahead. So it's time to act. And I think we are here to do so.
Absolutely, Beto. Thank you so much, Beto, Tasso, Izabella. This is a short session for something that deserved so much more time, but I think we're on it. We've started, and we're going to help change the scenario. We look forward to continuing the discussion with our panelists and our audience more in the future. And the insights today from all of these panelists have been incredible. Thank you very much. You can learn more about why Natura & Co believes Amazonia is the way to our future. Please visit naturaco.com and follow Natura & Co on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter for regular updates. Thank you very much for joining us today.